Yo, 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 check it out. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Need It podcast. My name is Ulysses Benitez. If you guys are new to my channel, thank you guys so much for even taking the time to view this video. You guys are in for a very good one, a very important topic in my books. And I think a lot of people need to hear this. I don't think it's normalized as much as it should be, especially everything that has happened in the last 2 years. So I'm very excited to bring on my guest today. But before I get to him, make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button. And I'm excited to do this one because I actually had already recorded this episode. But there was a little problem with the cameras and whatever. I ended up skipping out a week. That's why I didn't record an episode last week. I just had a little, I don't know, I guess you can call it a break. But for some reason, it's weird. I felt so weird not recording an episode last week. And it felt like so long, but then when I looked back at my actual channel, it just said that I didn't record an episode since last week. So it really wasn't even that long, but I'm winded. I think I'm a little, I need to build my stamina back up.
Are you a little stressed?
I think I'm a little stressed. Let me introduce you the right way. Let me actually give you the proper introduction.
I need it.
You do. From Stockton, California, a good friend of mine for close to 10 years, a Stockton native, USC alumni.
Okay,
a mental health clinician. Get that right.
Okay.
Mr. Chardon Perryman.
Thank you for having me, sir.
Welcome to the Need It podcast with Ulysses Benitez.
I've been waiting for that intro for the longest.
How you feeling, Chardon?
I'm super excited today. Thank you so much for having me.
Looking sharp.
Thank you. Thank you.
You guys know I had to bless him with a cut before the episode.
I needed it real bad.
You did. But the lineup looks sharp. I like the shirt.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's everything?
Everything's been good. You should be like a fashion consultant.
Well, I love fashion. I just think I kind of fell off of it once I had kids, but I pay attention to all that stuff. A lot of people actually, friends of mine, they would always consider my opinion a lot.
Absolutely.
Or they would want to go shopping with me. I just kind of lost my touch, but I'm trying to get back to it.
No, you still got it. I feel like I need your approval sometimes when you're like, damn. I'm like, okay.
Now, I don't think I have a lot of clothes right now. Just more so my coordination. It always just goes. I don't just throw shit on.
Oh, no. Okay. I know I kind of tried to clown you earlier today, but I got the concepts.
It's just a chill outfit today. Super, super cozy vibes.
Okay.
So vibes. For those that don't know, like I told you guys, Chardon has been a friend of mine, and actually Blanca's too. I know that you went to high school with her, but you guys didn't really get cool until later. Chardon was one of my first clients, a garage client.
Ooh.
You were really cool with my brother, and then I met you through him. And then you just pretty much became a little client of mine. And then, we turned into pretty good friends just off conversations in the chair. We hung out a couple times. And I know you've been back and forth to LA, but kind of just explain a little introduction for yourself in case I missed anything there.
Well, you said a lot. So thank you so much for having me. Yeah, we've been friends for a minute. Dang, since you were garage cutting, I was like, damn, that was a long ass time ago. But one, I definitely want to, again, thank you. I'm so proud of everything that you've accomplished so far, to kind of see your vision come to light about your podcast. I know you've been talking about this for a long time, to kind of see it come into fruition. I'm so excited for you. So thank you for this space.
Thank you.
And yeah, we've been friends for a minute. I was actually looking back on I was going through an old iPhone the other day, and I found when I went to your wedding, I was like, damn, I really was at your wedding. That seems like such a long time ago. We've been friends for a minute.
That was 2016.
Damn.
5 years ago.
You been married that long?
Yeah, we made it through that first rough patch. A little round of applause. I think I have a little button here. Hold on.
Hopefully.
Hold on. I think I do have one here. Never mind. There you go. 5 years married, Chardon.
Dang, congratulations. Shout out to Blanca. Happy wife, happy life. You've made it a long way.
Honestly, that's true. Happy wife, happy life, for real. Shout out to Blanca. So you went to high school with her. For those that are listening and they're wondering how we are all cool, but you guys went to high school together, so you guys know a lot of the same people.
Yeah, we knew a lot of the same people. We weren't really friends, but we knew of each other, and I feel like we all got closer after you guys got together.
Right.
And I was thinking right when we met was right when you and her first started dating, and I was like, damn, that was such a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of started hanging out, and I remember even we got to pay homage to your little brother too, because your little brother and then my little cousin are close friends.
Yeah.
So it just became really close, and I think over the years it just became I was thinking about it today. I kind of became a little part of your family. I'm really excited to see your family today.
Yeah. You saw, you saw a lot of what has happened in all these years with the kids, and even my parents, her parents. So
you guys
you've been around.
yeah, kind of watching you guys, your like progression. I think when we talk about like being humble, like from you like cutting in the garage or cutting in the salon to I remember me, you and Blanca, like before you guys lived in LA, we had went out one night and she was like, one day helping a barber shop, or if he doesn't open one, then I'm gonna open one. He gonna be my employee. And I remember her just being like, oh, that's like the boss she is. So yeah, just to like see you guys come so far, I'm like super excited. So yeah, we just all became friends. And I think just over the years, like those chair talks really brought us closer. And I think that's what really grew our friendship. So it's been like such a long journey to watch you guys from like getting together to, you know, buying your first house and then having kids. So it's been like, you guys have been those like friends where I've just like kind of like watched you progress. So it's like, I'm so excited for you guys now.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's those chair talks really brought us closer together too. And just I look forward to those appointments every week. And that's a cool thing that, you know, these conversations that we're going to have today, we've always had them. It's just that now they're being recorded. And I always emphasize that with this season alone. I mean, there's a lot of people that are new viewers, they have kind of tapped in and just said, oh, you should have random people. Or somebody was funny. They were saying you should actually have professionals and we want more topics. I'm like, okay, I'm going to bring you a professional. And this is a perfect episode for that because I know that you are a mental health clinician. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you even got there. I know you did do the university. And you've done work in LA, you've done work in Stockton. You're currently in Stockton, right?
Yeah.
So just explain your journey into getting into what you actually wanted to do.
So actually, like before, like when I was living down here in LA, I was doing like a lot of nonprofit. For my degree is in social work with an emphasis in community organizing. So I thought like, oh, I'm gonna work in the government. It's gonna be cool, and that's like kind of what I was doing. You know, working.
You did, huh?
I worked for a senator or a U.S. Congresswoman, Karen Bass, which was like super cool here in LA. She does a lot of work for South LA, which is like surprisingly very similar to South Stockton. So I felt really connected to that work. And then that kind of led me to going back to working in Stockton when I worked for Mayor Tubbs for a while and kind of doing some nonprofit stuff there. And I think it just kind of, when I talk about like mental health, like I knew that, well, going back a little bit, I think that when I finished grad school, I didn't feel like connected to the work in that, you know, I think that people give Stockton like such a bad name when we're literally the roses that grew from the concrete. And I think that people don't recognize the scholars and stuff that come out of Stockton or people that are doing great things. So
a lot of people do great things though. So shout out to anybody that really, you know, goes through all that adversity and still makes something good out of themselves, because like maybe not so much with like, you don't see it too much with the social media. I think that's where we stood out, but there's a lot of people doing great things. Right.
And that's why I think that when I finished my degree, I was like, I need to go back because there's great things happening there. And former Mayor Tubbs at the time, he was like, you need to come back to Stockton. You need to come back to Stockton. And I think you've even seen before, like people, they'll get educated or they'll take off in their business or their career and they kind of just like move to other places and they never come back. Right. So I knew that I didn't want to be one of those people. I want to be able to get back to the community that gave so much to me. And I can think you can even attest to this of like growing up in South Stockton, like the opportunities aren't there all the time.
They're not. I mean, we grew up in the same area. Actually, South Stockton is pretty big because I'm literally right in the middle, but I think you were more on the other side.
Yeah.
And then I know people from the opposite side too. It's just,
but still the South side.
It's still the South side. It's still a low income area. You know, you could literally just walk out and run into problems. It's just that's the type of environment. And you know, I always tell people it's kind of hard to explain. Like I was never into like any type of gangs or any type of affiliation with that.
We've seen it.
But then again, like I know I try to fit in at times. Like I was there with family, friends, like there's people that were involved in that lifestyle, and it's kind of hard because like growing up now it's a little different, but at the time like you really felt like you had to kind of be that to feel like accepted almost.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because that's what was around you.
Right. You had to be about that or know about that.
So it's a trip because now we were just talking about this today, how like, you know, my kids are going to grow up in a different area and like their view of like their childhood is going to be a lot different than ours was. And that's the whole point, you know, to not make them go through the same things we did and the stuff that we had to deal with. And if you could put them in a better position, why not?
It's gonna be weird. How do you think you're gonna feel when your kids are like, oh, we're from LA, we grew up here in LA, we're from LA?
I'm gonna make sure they know what's up with Stockton.
Oh no, they're gonna know for damn sure. They're gonna know.
They're gonna know.
Yeah. So
you're supposed to say they'll never know.
No, they will know. They will know. No, like not that they will never know.
It's like
they're gonna know.
Yeah, they're gonna know. Yeah, I think it's important to show them those roots though. I think honestly for me, like that's the stuff that really was able to, it just gives you like this underdog mentality. Right. I think it's like so underrated, and it's just like a chip on your shoulder that you have, and you have thick skin because you've really just seen it all growing up. Right. So I mean, you're not really fazed by things. No, and I think that's why you're able to just like move the way that you do,
and adapt.
Yeah, adapt. And you going back and forth. You know, how's that been?
It was definitely hard to go back, as you can tell. I know I'd always tell you guys, like, you guys need to move to LA. You guys need to move to LA. And then it was funny because when I moved back home, you guys moved here. And I was like, damn, okay, we did the opposite. But I felt like I needed to give back to the community. And I think when I went back, their mental health was like a really big thing. Like there wasn't a lot of mental health programs for children. So at that time I was like, damn, like this should be something I should get involved in. And then so I found myself kind of in my first position, and it's something that I've grown to kind of fall in love with, kind of seeing these different kids with, you know, these various issues. You know, I'm working with kids as young as like 2 years old, or like teens as old as like 19, and really watching the need there in Stockton. And I think that mental health often gets like skipped over, and people just think like, oh, these people are crazy, but there's like underlying mental health problems. So it's really something I really want to tackle.
Right. It's dope that you're saying that, because you're really showing how diverse the age groups are. And also I think really growing up as a Latino, or really in any type of Black or brown household, the mental health thing is just not really something that's talked about. It's just so like overlooked, like, oh, just pray and then things are going to get better. Yeah. And it's not like
you
that.
need to go to church. We'll pray. Don't think about that. Like God will take care of you. And I strongly believe in that. Like I believe in God, but at the same time, there might be some other issues. Like God can't do everything, but that's, in our house, it's like, just pray about it. It's going to be fine. It's
and I think also another thing is, people are so afraid to be vulnerable and to open up about that, because they think mental health, like, oh, you're crazy. Like, no, you're not crazy. These are normal things that we don't even notice that we're going through. And I've had my fair share of moments. I think the pandemic, maybe they were happening before. I just didn't really have a time to sit down and really focus on what was going on with me. And I feel like I had a couple of episodes where like maybe I felt anxiety for the first time, or even just depression.
Right.
And you know, when you're going through that, you don't realize when you're out of it, you know, until it's actually done and you're feeling better, and you got to find ways to kind of break out of them. And I think some people are better at it than others. I know Blanca deals with her anxiety, and I know other friends that go through those little episodes of depression. So touch bases on that and how it is like dealing with that every day in terms of work.
And that's a very loaded question. I didn't expect you to turn it like that.
I have to hit you with it.
It's hard. I think going back to your first part, like mental health in general is like, we don't talk about it. I think that in like a lot of Black and brown households, like things kind of happen, or you'll see something traumatic, or you'll see something will happen to someone will die. You're in these different types of environments in the home, and we just won't talk about it. We'll act like it didn't happen. So I think like people suppress feelings. So I think to your point about things started coming up for you, because during the pandemic, what people had to understand was that's when a lot of mental health stuff came out, because for so long we're just so busy. Like, oh, I have to go to work. I have to go to school. I have to go do this. I have to go do that you're not stopping to really think about things. So when you have to kind of be still for a second, it really starts to get you to think about things that are bothering you. So I think that's kind of what happened in that situation of, it's like, okay, now we're going to process anxiety. Now we're going to go through why you're depressed, or we're going to go through why certain things trigger you, or your spouse might trigger you. Like, and then it really allows you to stop and think about that, because you can't just be like, oh, I'm just going to go to work today, or, oh, I'm just going to go for a run today, or, oh, I'm just going to go shopping today. But no, you couldn't do that. The pandemic, you got to sit your ass at home, or you're about to go for a walk around the park or something. Like,
I think the walks helped me a lot at that time, because I was, you know, I had the gym there at the house, but then you just feel like you're stuck. So I was stepping out, and that really helped me. And even taking walks with Blanca and the kids in the afternoon helped a lot too, just to kind of get us out of the house. Sometimes we would even just go drive.
Yeah, sometimes.
And that helped us both, you know. And it's important to kind of like figure out a way to wiggle around that, and just explain like how it is with the kids, because I think some people don't think that kids go through all that stuff. But explain that.
Kids go through a lot of anxiety, anxiety, depression, and stress. Especially right now, we're seeing a high level of that in children, especially related to social media, which we'll get into.
With the homeschool stuff too, right?
Homeschool stuff, yeah. Especially like during the pandemic, like even when you talk about like how I was feeling, it was like I'm going through all these. It was hard. It was a very interesting time, because people are experiencing like coronavirus, which was causing people to feel stress, feeling a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of uncertainty. So like me having to go into work every day and listen to, you know, teenagers or young adults talk about these issues. It's like, damn, for the first time, I was like, damn, I'm going through that too. I'm afraid to go to fucking Costco. I'm afraid to go do this. I'm afraid to go do that. So kind of hearing them was like really difficult. And I think during the pandemic, I seen my highest rate of like referrals, or like kids that were coming into my office, were like teenagers, because for the first time, teenagers, you have to think in that brain development stage of your life, that's when you're like relying on your friends. Like you're doing everything your friends are doing. You're looking to your friends for advice. Like you don't care what your parents are saying. You don't care what your older sisters or older brothers are saying. You're trying to listen to your friends. So for that first time, like kids didn't have their social networks. So like their friends, and of course we have social media, but the connection was just different. So a lot of kids were just like, I seen high levels of stress, high levels of suicidality, which is like still we're starting for the first time seeing those numbers drop since the pandemic, but it's something we don't really talk about. So people just kind of thought like, oh, my 17-year-old daughter is just in her room. She doesn't want to come out. But it's like people weren't able to identify that. And again, and a lot of my clients are Black and brown kids. So their parents are just like, oh, just leave them alone. It's going to be fine. Yeah, but it's like, no, we need to talk about this. So I think that a lot of, and even my younger patients, it's like, they're getting like the 5 and 6 year olds. It's like, oh, Johnny can't sit down, or he's running around the house. Like, no, just like you were like, I felt trapped. I couldn't get out. Like 5 and 6 year olds are trying to figure that out too. But just their way of expressing like, mom and dad, I need to get out of the house is hard, or it's different. So they're doing that in breaking shit or throwing stuff or throwing tantrums or not listening or being hyperactive, not eating, not sleeping.
It's a learning experience for everybody, because even as a parent, like not every dad or mom was always home, and that now that some of them lost their jobs and had to figure it out, like there's so many levels of anxiety, depression, like frustration, stress, and all of that accumulates. And then also your kids, like I would notice even though my kids are really little, 3 and 2, but you actually see a lot of that, like, yo, I want to get out of the house, or I want to go run. And we listen to that, you know, like if Max was like trying to tell us that he wanted to go bye-bye, then we know, like, let's go in the car and just drive somewhere. Yeah. And he'll feel like he's going somewhere, whatever the case may be. And it's just important to pay attention to those patterns. That's a big thing too, right?
Not to ignore the patterns. Like if your kids are saying, I think in younger kids, it's a little bit harder to identify certain levels of anxiety. So like even probably like for, you know, kids like Max, it's like it comes out in kind of what he was saying of expressing like, I just need to get out, or I want to go bye-bye. For younger kids experiencing anxiety, it might be like they're always sick, or like my stomach hurts, or, you know, they're moving around a lot, or they're not sleeping. Like those are levels of anxiety, or also levels of like depression, or it could be post-traumatic stress disorder, like kids being trapped in the house and stuff for so long. So I think when you kind of see those patterns, like I always tell people, like just bring your kids in. Like it doesn't mean your child is crazy, or it doesn't mean like you're not parenting correctly. It just means like maybe there's another evaluation or something that needs to happen in order to like meet your child's needs, and that's okay.
It's just normalizing like the therapy in general.
We downplay that a lot.
Yeah. What about just social media in terms of kids and adults? Like let's get into that, because I know that's something that we see, and it's very modern day. And I've had my moments where I go through that, where I'm just like, I need a break from this. Or I also call out Blanca and I tell her like, hey, you need to learn how to shut this off.
Right.
And it's something that I've noticed with myself and also with her. And I just try to like have us still be able to disconnect from that.
Disconnection is definitely key. And I'm glad you brought up this topic, because you as like a grown man, you know, like, hey, this is becoming too much. I need to turn this off. I need to unplug. I need to disconnect. And I feel like for so many of our teenagers, they don't know how to do that.
They don't.
So they don't.
Really don't though.
Social media has become, and social media, I think it's like, it's a great platform to, you know, like for you guys are using it like for your business purposes. I see that. You guys are selling products, connecting with people, so that's really cool. But it's good, but it also has like its negative effects. One of the a Netflix documentary that I strongly recommend everybody watching is called The Social Experiment. Have you seen it?
I think I have, but not the full thing.
The Social Experiment, that's what definitely got me really involved in this topic, because it just basically talks about how our phones, this is a form of addiction. Addiction definitely has to do with mental health. And when we think about addiction, we can't, when people think about addiction, we're just thinking about like drugs or alcohol or, you know, sexual like addictions and things like that. But no, this also can be our phones, and that's something again that we're not talking about. So what's happening right now, especially with teenagers, is they have high levels of stress and anxiety because they are so connected to their phones and they don't know how to disconnect.
They just don't. It's hard because I do notice in like those early teen ages, and literally you'll have a group of 5 kids and they're all on the phone, as opposed to like when we grew up, we were outside playing with dirt.
Right. Or just kicking it.
We had some tree branches and we just made it happen somehow. And it sucks because like I really want that for my kids, and that's why I always tell Blanca, and even at times where I'm bad at it and I'm super busy, she does an activity to where she's like, hey, let's just go out and be with the kids, let them play. I'm like, let's go outside and color with them. Those little things that are just normal. And it's just like, it's so easy to just sit down and we're on the phone and then they're on the phone. I mean, they're on the iPad or whatever. Like, and in general, for any family, those things happen. But I'm not against the socials, but I feel like sometimes they're abused.
And that's what's happening now. And that's good that, you know, like you're able to recognize that, like, hey, we got to disconnect, or hey, my kids can't be on YouTube all day, or my kids can't be on this all day. So I think that also what's happening, especially in young kids and teenagers, it's sending them like this kind of like false perception of hope, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I feel
and
that.
I think we call it like on a documentary that I watch, we call it like social reels. So like, of course, a lot of people, especially right now during COVID, this is why it's so hard right now, is because so many people are going through things. Like people have lost family members, people are losing their jobs, people are experiencing all of these mental health issues. And then they're kind of like, in order to feel fulfilled, they're going on social media. And of course, on social media, we're posting our like highlight reels. We're posting like the best of our lives. We're posting our houses. We're posting our cars. We're posting our vacations. We're posting all this stuff. So for somebody who's experienced it, already going through a mental health issue, you kind of seeing that is not going to make the situation better.
Because it's so easy to just kind of compare yourself to that person and wonder why it's not happening for you. And I was speaking about that with somebody else on an episode this season. And I think several people really like just the fact that perception, you know, the perception that we give people, and it's not really, you know, to one person it could be motivation, to the other person is going to get them more depressed about their situation.
And so when you take a lot of that in, when you're already going through your own levels of depression, you're just taking in information. Like as we're scrolling every day on these pictures or on these videos or on these reels or on these TikToks, like you're taking that information, your brain is storing that information. You might think like, damn, like I don't remember what that video said, but your brain does. That is information that was stored. So then that ultimately comes out in the way that you present yourself or the way that you're feeling. So with so many people, also what's happening is like they call it like social currency of you're posting a picture, you're posting a video, and maybe, you know, for teenagers, they're looking kind of for the validation aspect of social media of like, how many views will this video get, or how many views will this TikTok video
get? How many likes, how many follows,
and and they're equating that to their self-worth. So when they post a picture on Instagram and it's not getting as many likes as they would like, then they're kind of like, damn, like why did I post that picture? I should take that picture down. Why did no one like this?
Or bad comments and stuff like that.
And so that's when it comes down to, like they're equating their self-worth to social media. And which is like, it's really scary. So it's like, I'm on this really big crusade right now, and I'm actually starting a challenge on Monday of no social media for 30 days. I don't know how that's gonna work.
It was nice seeing you shut down.
And we were talking about that today when I was driving in, that I'm gonna disconnect from a lot of people, because for some people I have their phone numbers, I can easily text them, I can easily call them, but I know how to do that. But it's like for some people I only talk to them on social media, so I'm gonna have to disconnect from them for 30 days, hoping nothing crazy happens.
No, well, I feel like it's a detox, really what it is. And even sometimes myself, I go through my feed and I'm just like, okay, like why am I following this person? Nothing wrong about following people, but like if you're really gonna be going on there, like really just feed your brain positive stuff, or just be, you know, the type of person that's gonna have people on there that you actually you know, look forward to seeing, or you get motivated by whatever it is that they post. That way you're just kind of feeding yourself all this positive stuff, because if you're on there with so and so that you don't even like, or whatever the case may be, it's just like, what are you doing? It's
like, why are you even following them?
You're comparing yourself to them. You're feeding these negative thoughts to your brain, and without really thinking about it. And that's why it's important to do those. You know, and it's okay to unfollow somebody. It's not the end of the world.
Right. Like they're going to be fine. Like, you're going to be fine.
It's no disrespect. Sometimes it's just like, yo, like it is what it is. I don't care to, you know.
And I know, but some people that like, even know, to your point, it's very important for you to be following people who kind of like meet your value system, or that are going to feed you that positive energy. Because that's ultimately, like when we talk about social media as a force for good, like I get so many positive quotes, and I know you're like really big on like posting the quotes. I'm really big on that too, of like really sending that to somebody, because you never know who that's going to speak to.
Right. You can send it to people, and it's funny because I have this certain group of people that just always reply, and then I send it to them, or vice versa. We just like, you know, we comment on each other's posts. A lot of people actually look forward to when I post those.
Absolutely.
I have them saved in the archives, but sometimes I'm like, I'm going to get like 3 or 4 out. And people are like, man, you haven't posted. I look forward to those every day. And I'm like, wow, like I didn't know that it was that big of a deal. But people like that value that those little posts bring.
No, and those are the types of things that people should be following and not necessarily connecting for those other reasons. So I think that's super important to do. And it's okay to unfollow people. I think one of the things I've been doing recently, like no shade, no tea to nobody, but I'd be putting people's stories on mute. A certain select friends are on mute because I can't deal with like, oh, I don't want to do the vaccine, or I can't deal with like just, I think the vaccine's like the biggest one right now. And like when the election season, like a lot of people had to get muted. It's like you didn't get unfollowed, but I mute you.
Yeah, but it's not even just that. It's just also, oh, I don't want to go to work today. Oh, blah,
yeah,
blah,
and I can't
like,
hear that because I gotta go to work.
Yeah, I'm like, all that stuff is just like, bro, like, I need people that are happy. Like,
I hate my job, like my life. Like I can't do that. I
like,
can't.
It's just problems and problems and problems.
And like one of the biggest things I can like give somebody is, you know, I'm not saying I'm doing the extreme of kind of like doing a social media detox, but like really monitoring. Well, the couple of tips I give people is like monitoring your social media use. I think is a really big thing about monitoring your social media use. Your phone, if you have an iPhone, your phone tells you on average how many hours a week that you are on.
I was just gonna tell you about that. It's actually scientifically proven that like as humans, we're not even supposed to be on the phone for that long. Like our brain can't like capture everything.
It's doing too, like we're overloading it.
Dude, you feel it. Trust me. Like sometimes when me and Blanca, we're working all day, we put the kids to sleep, and sometimes we're working after, and it's just like, dude, I can't do this anymore. Like literally, my brain is fried. And it's important to just be like, yo, movie night. Let's just leave our phones charging. Blah. Like it's over with. Pick it up back up tomorrow. We'll pick it back up tomorrow. So
shout out to your wife. Sorry, I troll her a lot.
No, she does a lot, man. So I know it's a tough thing sometimes, but she's doing really good at it. And then I'm happy for her that she's actually finally figuring out a way to find that balance. And sometimes the workload just gets heavier, you know, and it's just like,
and that's okay.
It's important to have a good team, delegating tasks, which you always tell me about, like making sure everybody does their job. And really for anybody out there that is dealing with not figuring out how to find that balance, and they are very stressed and they get those levels of anxiety really up there with whatever it is they do. What do you recommend for those people?
What kind of like you said, like exerting those boundaries, knowing when to say no. And I think the biggest thing that we really downplay a lot is like self-care. I think that just finding an activity or something that you do, and I think we kind of we've been kind of throwing that word around a little bit, but really just looking at like what's going to bring me meaning, what's going to refill my cup, what's going to make me more whole, or what's going to be fun to me that I'm going to enjoy doing. Reaching out to somebody. I think we talked about this before about how we really like downplay reaching out to people, and that's something that you can definitely do. And just having those friends that you know you can talk to, just be like, you know what, shit is not going good right now. And I think we're so quick to, again, that's why we can't always rely on social media to be like, you know, Ulysses, he's good, like posts look good, he's smiling, kids look smiling, like everything is good. Like, no, we can't do that. So
I'm going through it.
No, and that's why sometimes I'll just reach in like, hey, I'm just doing a vibe check, how are you? Be like, I'm good, shit is stressful.
Sometimes I'll even send you like a little voice message. And
you're really good on those things.
And just letting you know, like, yo, everything's good, just kind of like getting the ball rolling with this and everything. How are you? And then like it just goes on from that. And maybe it's like one of those sessions that you didn't even think you needed. And I think that's why therapy is important. I mean,
therapy is super important, just to be able to check in. And I think it's really important for people to have like sometimes just like that non-biased person. And of course I have like close friends that I can call and be like, hey, like shit is not going good right now. I need to just unload. And sometimes just unloading all that information on that person is good. Like I'll be like, damn, like I am going through all that. And sometimes they'll be able to normalize it. Like, damn, Chardon, like you're going through that. I'm going through the same shit at work. I'm like, okay, fuck.
Yeah, and then you find things that are similar. And that's why like even when, when you go get cut and you kind of tell me what's going on and you have like these dilemmas, you know, we talk about it, I cut you, you feel good after, and you just feel complete. Like, wow, like I needed the haircut and I needed the top.
Right. No, and I think that's a self-care practice. I was telling you about that this week. Like when you came into town last week, I was having like a weird ass week from like Wednesday was like fucking weird. Thursday was weird. Friday I was just like out of it. And then Saturday I was like, I think I just need a haircut today and I'll feel better. And I think it's just us checking in and then getting a haircut that like my Saturday was like awesome. No bullshit. I felt like mellow. So I think we gotta really just practice our self-care.
Yeah, and I think it's figuring out what fills your cup, like you mentioned earlier. If self-care to you is, I don't know, just you going to get your nails done. If you're a girl, even a guy, go get a damn pedicure and a manicure. Like, some people need it. Just make sure they don't put the shiny stuff on you.
I mean, that's becoming like popular now.
It is actually, nothing wrong to anybody that's doing their nails.
No shade, no tea.
But the actual, that's just something you can go do with your girl, and it's just a self-care thing. I don't know. I think sometimes we forget how to be normal because we're so caught up with like either work or just if you do social media or you're just stuck on social media, you don't think about how to like, enjoy everything that's around us and the simple things really.
So yeah, social media should not be your self-care. Of course, like sometimes you need it. Like I have those days where I'll have like a really hard session of like with one of my patients, and then I'll be like, okay, damn, I just need to go watch Karina fall down on her video to refill my cup. No shade, Karina, I love you, but damn, like that video that was my video for like a week. I was like, oh, damn, she bit it. Damn. No offense, Chris. I love you. But yeah, sometimes you need to watch those funny videos. Like we all need, or watch like the fight videos or something. Like it's funny.
Yeah.
So I think but it can't be your social media, or that cannot be your self-care.
Yeah. Self-care is just important. That's why I think the barbering, I felt like I was low-key a therapist and a barber.
No, that's why I was like, damn.
I have my degree too, guys, just so you know.
You have an unofficial LCSW.
Yes.
Like you have a master's degree, an honorary master's degree.
It's weird how it worked out for me being super mellow and just being able to be that person in the chair, and everybody's different, man. You don't realize how many different people, different personalities you have to deal with when you are a barber, but that's one thing that I think a lot of people appreciate, and that's why a lot of people stuck around, because you literally get motivated and you feel good about yourself when you leave the chair. So it's dope. And that's always something that I think I miss. I don't do it as much anymore, but every time I'm able to go out and just be social with a client and you do the haircut, which I love to do, and then you make them feel good. I mean, it's just it's a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? And you realize how much of an impact that has in their day. And that's why, not just that, but self-care in general really helps you feel good about yourself. And it really battles those symptoms that people feel, like whether it's anxiety or depression. So as far as your everyday like work, what's that like right now for anybody that really wants to jump into what you do? How is the schooling time wise? And also I feel like that one just kind of popped up on you. It wasn't the initial thing you were doing, but
not at all. I didn't want to go into therapy, but it took 5 years to get out of undergrad. And I think for anybody listening that's going through college, it's a journey. Like I think I was able in undergrad, I went straight to Sac State after I graduated, and I had to do 5 years there when it's like, oh, it's supposed to take 4. Like, damn, I guess I was dumb because it took 5. But I think just doing that, and then I took a leap year and I moved to LA. Then applying at SC. So typically master's programs are 2 years, but I felt like just the way I learn, I know my learning style at my age, that I just need to do a 3-year track. So I did 3 years. So it's like 8 years of schooling total. And then what people also with my particular job, well, since I'm a social worker by profession, like in order to get your license to do therapy, you still have to do 3,000 hours of clinical hours of like one-on-one therapy with people, 3,000 hours of stories. I think like, I really didn't think about that until now I'm getting ready to finish my license, that I'm like, damn, I had to sit through 3,000 hours of this. So it's like, it's 5 years of undergrad, 3 years of graduate school, and 2 additional years of just one-on-one therapy before I can get a license.
Wow.
So it's a lot of schooling. And I know there's a lot of MSWs right now that just finished their degree, and it's a long process, and you really have to love the work. Like I always tell people, social work is one of those jobs, like I didn't get into it to get rich, because I ain't gonna get rich being a social worker unless I'm doing like less like, dang, like I'm like LeBron's therapist, then I'm gonna be balling shot calling. But at the same time, like nobody gets in this to make $1 million. I really just got into it just knowing that I wanted to help people. And even now I love therapy, but I know that therapy is not something I can do forever.
Right. Because you need your own therapy.
Absolutely.
And you got your own
like,
stuff going on.
I have a therapist, because like when I'm listening to these stories, I'm like, damn,
that one hurt me.
Yeah, like, oh, dang, like, oh, I'm experiencing that too. So it's like, it's hard. And I think that going back to your point just about therapy, just in general, I think everybody should go to therapy. And one of the things that all of my clients that come in, they've come in like when this issue is like the worst. Like, oh, I have depression. Now I can't sleep. I can't think. I can't focus at work. I'm falling asleep. I'm sad all the time. And it's like, no, when it was like a smaller issue of when you even feel like a little bit off mentally, just to go talk to somebody. And that's what I was saying earlier. Like sometimes you just need to unload everything on someone, the therapist. And then we're providing you with what you already know. Like I think the common thing is like people just think like you're going to come to therapy, your therapist is going to tell you what to do. No, it's very client centered. It's all about what the client wants to do. Like, yeah, you hear some stories sometimes, and I'm like, damn, like, I wouldn't have done it like that. Like, you're dumb as fuck.
There's
like,
always another way, though.
Yeah, like, there's another way. You need another person who's non-biased, and I think that's one thing that happens in therapy. Like, I don't know you. I don't know what's happening in your life. I'm just giving you what I think you should do, or I'm kind of trying to go toward the goal that you want to do. Oh, you want to be able to go to work? Okay, let's work on coping skills to get you to be able to get out of bed and get you more motivated or find another job. Like, that's what I'm trying to talk you through. So I think a lot of people, like, people just, you're not going to come into therapy and lay down on the couch and tell me your deepest, darkest secrets. Like, please don't do that to a therapist. Just like, I'm having this problem. How can you help? And that's why I think when I talk to Blanca, I'm like, okay, let's talk about anxiety, like what you can do. Like, it's just really quick. Like, therapy is supposed to be fun. You need to find a therapist that you connect with. I think that's so important. And even recently I had to tell a lot of clients, that they're like, well, I want a black therapist. It's like, damn, nah, you can't only have me because I'm black. But but that's real. It's interesting because some people, they want a therapist that's the same race as them because they feel like they can understand their racial, whatever issues are going through.
But you were telling me something about that too, that now what you do with like the young kids in schools, like there's certain schools and education systems that don't really have a diverse, I want to say, group of like head people, whether it's like a teacher or the principal or the counselor. So some of those kids, they can't really relate because that person just says, oh, well, you have to be better.
Yeah, and that's the scary part. With right now, I'm a school-based clinician, so I have a middle school and 3 elementary schools that I'm over, very busy throughout the week. But I think that in mental health, people don't talk about it. So they're wondering why little Johnny is coming to school and he's not doing his work. He's not paying attention. And these are undiagnosed, to an extent, ADHD issue or undiagnosed mental health issues. So, for example, this child probably, in this, like a hypothetical child, probably has ADHD or has experienced trauma at home. And I think that's something, as a mental health therapist, like, that I'm doing on campus. I'm talking them through that so that they can understand like their structure at home and how to navigate things at school. And like, for example, for that particular like example person, like if this child has ADHD, yes, it's going to affect how they learn. Yes, it's going to affect how they communicate with people and be able to do their work. So I think that, especially in the system that I'm in right now, the teachers, the administrators, the head people, like, they don't look like the students. So I think when they come on campus and they see me, they're like, okay, this is somebody that's relatable. This is somebody that I can connect with. This is somebody who understands. And I think that's when you talk about, one of the things I always talk to you about is being socially responsible. So giving back to the community and understanding the community needs. That I grew up in these communities. I know what these kids are experiencing. I know what it feels like to grow up in a one-parent household. So I think that I'm able to connect differently than other people.
That's dope. That's dope. I think a lot of people will appreciate that. And if you guys have any comments on this episode in general,
please leave
anything
them.
that you guys do or are going through, go ahead and comment. I know you have a YouTube account, right?
I need to make one, dude.
You don't?
No, I don't have a YouTube account because I was always scared.
No. I'm saying, like, you don't have, maybe so you could comment on videos.
Oh, no, I will definitely make one specifically so I can comment on these videos.
I think it'll be important for you to just make one just to comment back on the video.
Yeah, I can do that for you guys.
We were talking about you making a channel just because of the fact that you wanted to do like some type of mental health, I guess, feed. You know, I feel like it's important. I think it would do really good. I think people would like that. It's almost like you're having a therapist talking to you every day. You should just do a podcast at this point, right?
I mean, at this point, a few people have told me, I just like, what the hell do I talk about? But then kind of watching your podcast, it's like a little fire. I was like, I can do that. I can talk to people about that. Like some of the topics, sometimes I'm like, fuck, like I wish I could have commented on that, or like a live comment.
Right. I think it'll be cool to just drop maybe you don't even have to record a video. It could just be voice, and just the fact that that you're going to be able to talk about a specific thing. Like, today I was dealing with this and blah, blah, blah. And I think people will be like, wow, I related to that or whatever. And I would appreciate it. That's just a thought. I mean, I'm always trying to, I always make people feel like you're capable of everything.
No,
you know? I'll brainwash you.
No, that's what I love about you. You're always like, yeah, well, you can do that. But then you also hold people accountable. So that's why I'm very strategic about the things that I tell you sometimes, or like what I'm doing, because I know you will follow up and ask follow-up questions and ask like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you said that last time, what the fuck are you doing about it? And I'm always like, oh yeah, well, I'm supposed to do this, but I'm supposed to do that. So that's the one thing I love about you. You bring out like the best in people. Like you make sure we look good. You make sure we're right, like in our careers and what we're doing in relationships. Like you're a great relationship advice person too. I think we downplay that too.
Yeah. I mean, I've been, like we were mentioning, married for 5 years, and that's another thing too. Relationship advice, therapy for relationships. I mean, I've never been to one, but I feel like me and Blanca have good communication, so we have those little sessions with each other, and we're able to do that now. A lot of people don't.
Right.
So if I don't know if have you ever dealt with a couple?
I mean, like unofficially, I think. Not necessarily like couples, but more of like families. So it'd be like a family structure problem. Like the kids hate the parents, or the parents hate the kids. That's real. Some people don't like their kids. Like we're gonna have to normalize that. Like, and that's a real thing. We don't really talk about that sometimes. But yeah, I've more dealt with that. But like I feel like it can't be that much different than couples. I say that in meaning that sometimes you need that mutual party who's non-biased. Again, that I don't live in the house with y'all, so I don't really know what's going on. I'm only giving like person A is saying this, person B is saying this, and where do you guys want to go together? And in couples therapy, what usually happens is, people are coming in because, like you said, like poor communication, poor boundaries, not setting up boundaries. So it's like in that space, it's like you guys create a goal together, and then I help you, or your therapist helps you get to that goal together. Yeah. And some people, most of the time, marriage therapy, or relationship therapy, it's more of just like, how do we build a stronger bond, or how do we stay together, and things like that.
Yeah, I think, for the most part, it's everybody's going to have their differences and things that maybe they're like, well, this and that, everybody has something about their partner. Nothing bad, nothing serious all the time, but it's just natural to be able to talk about it. And I think people feel the need to just hold all that stuff in, and you can only take in so much, man. Once that cup is full, that's just about to spill everywhere.
Right, and then you can't be, and then once that spills over, then you're not going to want to be a good partner anymore. You're not going to be a good dad anymore. You're not going to want to be a good friend anymore, because your cup is full.
Yeah, and not even just as a couple, but if you are a parent now, that makes you not really be the best parent, because you're not really in the best state of mind, because you're not getting along with the partner. You just feel it starts to become like a task, as opposed to something that's just, it should be very effortless and fun. And it's a blessing to be able to wake up with your partner, and to be able to do things, and to obviously involve your children, all that stuff. And sometimes people get lost, and it just becomes a routine, and things aren't talked about. A lot of people let their kids get in the way, and don't get me wrong, I love my kids, but me and Blanca are on the same page as like, hey, we got to take care of each other too, and we have to be able to do couple things, because
I would tell you guys that
before parents we were a married couple, so like we have to make sure that we have those date nights, and we have those dinner nights, and it's important to be able to do that, and to just kind of like keep that fire going. Really,
that's very important in all relationships. I think some people, they lose that, and kind of like what you were saying, they get so caught up in like my career and my kids that you forget how to be a husband first, or you forget how to be a father, because you're just so caught up.
And sometimes too, like we're so caught up with what we're doing that it's just like you expect the other person to be at that same level as you. And I always told Blanca, when you're down, I'll pick you up, and vice versa. Like sometimes I'm not feeling it, so like I do need that advice from you. I do need to be able to talk to you about it, and sometimes those words of reassurance is really all I need. It kind of goes into like words of affirmation, and I'm a person that really just needs to talk. Okay, so that's why I think.
Does your wife know that?
Yeah, she does. Okay. Yeah, she knows. And hers, it's like act of service. So
okay,
like,
good.
Babe, I took out the trash. She's happy.
She's like, oh, thanks. Thank you so much.
Actually, I won't even tell her. She'll notice it, or or sometimes I will, and it's just like we understand each other. That's why it's important. So like when I do have to talk, she understands. Like, yeah, I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna listen. We're gonna talk about something.
She'll be actively listening.
Yeah, like, yeah, for sure. Which is important, So I think that's a whole nother thing. Hopefully, we covered everything, man. I mean, this was a good episode. I enjoyed it, and it was one I was looking forward to all season. So there's only one episode left this season.
Thank
season
you for having
2.
me this season. Season 1, I'm like, damn, season 1's already over.
Yeah, you made the cut.
Thank you.
I'm kidding. Now there's a lot of people that I had on this season, and it's crazy. I mean, it's gonna be, excuse me. This was what, 13?
Yeah,
14 episodes.
Ooh, you've come a lot. Congrats. I think you need to really pat yourself on the back. Like that is
nobody else will.
Hopefully your wife will.
Well,
we're all rooting for you, but no, I'm just like glad that you've been able to provide this space, and I've been able to use your platform to help some of my students as well. So which has been like super interesting.
Right. You were telling me that you actually played an episode on
Miguel's episode about coming out, and I think
your class, right?
For I have a group of 8th graders, and I was able to kind of play the video. I had to edit some stuff out because y'all be wilding, but for the most part, they got the message, and they were understanding. Them being like Latino males, I think they were able to really connect to Miguel's story.
That's dope.
And so that's why I was like, thank you for providing that. So it's educational too. So I'm glad that you're doing this.
Yeah, I have a lot of plans for it, man. I really feel like a lot of the stories need to be heard. A lot of the episodes need to be more out there.
Right.
I don't have an actual social media for it.
I was wondering about that because you have like the website, and
I have the website. I have the Facebook. I've been posting, but I think let me know in the comments if you guys made it through. If you guys want an actual Needed Podcast Instagram, because I actually have a lot of content for each episode. I have like literally like 4 or 5 reels, and then I have like IGTVs. I have different stuff. It's just
so what's stuff? Well, that's more managed.
Well, I don't know. It's more to manage, but it's also not difficult because.
So why aren't you doing it?
The way that I have my team set up, like we're able to get the content together. But I think for it to really like get out there more, I think
season 2.
I think I need to just take the time where I'm not doing episodes and focus on creating the actual feed for a podcast page, and then really just work on season 2 that's coming up, man. I'm making some moves with that.
I'm excited.
It's going to be a different kind of setup. I don't know if it's going to be every week, but it's going to be one of those where every single episode is just super fire because like I just took the time to really create it. And it's a different vibe, man. This was just really a setup to get me started and to get people in the chair and to get these stories out.
And to learn.
You know, I think it's just like a lot of growth has happened in the last like, it's going to be like 13 weeks, you know? So I'm excited for what's coming, and I'm super grateful for even making it this far, man, because I think not only did I prove it to myself, but a lot of people that say, oh, not consistent. It's just like I could be consistent when things are going the way I want them to go. It's just a matter of getting there sometimes. So
no, it's very consistent. And I think that you're going to learn so much about yourself. And I think I told you before that I've learned so much about you, like through it. I was like, damn.
Yeah. And it's good for me too, because, you know, I get to sit down and have a good conversation with somebody, which I love to do. Like sometimes I'm on the phone and Blanca's like, why do you love talking to people? Why are you on the phone? And I'm like, man, sometimes, you know, I was on the phone with my shop the other day, right? So I had to literally call 8 people throughout the week.
You couldn't do a conference call?
No, I couldn't.
You wanted to individual?
It was just individual check-in, like, hey, how's it going? How's everything?
Such a great leader.
You know, boom, make it about them. I mean, I think I'm good. I'm not great. I feel like I could be better. So that's why I was just like normalizing making these calls. I'm not in Stockton anymore.
Right.
I'm not there all the time. I'm there for a little bit. And then it just goes by super quick. And I feel like, man, I feel like I could have gave more. So, you know, she was kind of like, dang, you're on the phone like throughout the day, like a couple different people. So, and so, yeah, but I'm not there no more, so I have to do it. So
that's good.
Like, oh, you're right. You know,
I think because you probably missed like those like little chit chats that you would do if you were just like in
little talks. Yeah, they're important. Trust me. And if you guys are a business owner, small business owner, you guys know what I'm talking about. If you have people under you, like you have to make those moves and make those calls and have that communication with your team. Super important. It all goes back down to just like checking in with people, right? You know, so
and people. One of my favorite quotes is like, people won't forget, or how does it go? Like people won't forget, or people will forget what you did for them, but they will not forget how you made them feel.
Right. And I think a lot of people, it's just like, you know, you're only as good as your last, you know, impression that you made on somebody. And that's why every time I just try to impact somebody so they really just sticks with them. And you notice that with yourself in life in general, there's certain things that you remember that people did or said to you, and they stick with you for a long time, you know, so it's cool, man. Appreciate you for coming, Chardon. Thank you for making the drive.
No problem.
We were going to get lit tonight because we were having a Halloween party.
I'm so excited. Thanks for the invite.
Appreciate it.
Lit.
Looking sharp. And we'll see how we look with our costumes later. If you guys enjoyed this episode, make sure that you guys drop a comment below. Make sure you guys subscribe. If you guys made it this far, if you guys are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts on the road, I appreciate you guys.
Yes.
And really just starting your day or ending your day with a podcast like this, it really just sheds light on something that maybe you didn't know you needed. And that's why we are the Needed Podcast.
Congrats.
I feel like a radio host now.
I know. That's exactly how I feel. That's what maybe I should have got a career in radio.
A lot of people say that my stuff is good, that it's just so coordinated and organized, but I don't know. I've always been good with like my actual English. Like that was one of my favorite topics. I just knew how to be a creative writer and start it and end it right. So I think it transitions into what I'm doing now.
Just good at everything.
I always knew I would need that class.
Damn, one of the classes is actually transferable.
Yeah, one of them, right? All right, guys. So I will catch you guys next week for the season finale. Thank you guys for tuning in. Drop a comment below. Much love. Any last words, Chardon?
Damn.
That's it.
That's it. Just damn. I think I could. Shit. I think I just like it was like a brain fart. But no. Thank you so much for this platform. I strongly encourage if anybody has any pressing mental health issue. I mean, I can't do everything over the comments, but please feel free to like DM me or hit me up. But
we'll tag your socials on here whenever you get back.
When I get back, I'll tag all the socials.
I have 1,000 messages.
Damn, I'm like hella follows. But no, I'll be happy to help anybody that needs help. Unofficially. Through comments, and also just anybody that's really struggling out there. One of the things I really want people to leave with today is like just reach out to somebody. You never know that person that just really needs that help. So reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a while, and just if you feel like you're really struggling, somebody that's struggling, please just find the proper help. Like I think that, like we were saying before, like it's never. I'd rather you get help now than something happened to you or you continue to keep struggling. So just because you go to therapy doesn't mean you're crazy. So just do it.
Bet.
All right.
See you guys next week. Thank you,
guys.
Shannon, once again. Much love.
I appreciate you.